Hi, Stephen from Exclaim Tech News. Now I'm doing a video on how the Alienware amplifier compares to the Aorus gaming box, which has the GTX 1080 in it. Now I have covered the Alienware amplifier before, and if you haven't seen that video, click up here. But at that time I was using my Alienware 15R2, which was a previous generation, and I suspect that the CPU was a bit of a bottleneck. But this time I'm going to be testing the Alienware 13R3 with it's got the i7 7700 HQ CPU in it. So that should eliminate any of that bottlenecks and could be quite representative of laptops today. So of course I attach it using the big the cable here for the Alienware amp, and also using Thunderbolt 3 for the Aorus gaming box. Now of course, to keep it uniform, I took the video card, as you can see, out of the box here, and I have put it into the amplifier. Now it is a high card, so actually putting it into a PC case could be problematic in the sense that it is a good inch higher than the back plate here. But I'll show you how to take that out and put that in, and we'll take a look at the results. So looking at the gaming results, I tested at 3840 by 1600 to eliminate any CPU bottlenecks, and also to keep it standardized, I also compared it to my Sager NP9877 notebook. Now that's got a desktop i7 8700K CPU, and before you all say, hey, wow, that CPU is too fast, I clocked it at 3.7 gigahertz to try and keep it as uniform as possible. But at this resolution, it should be more of a GPU test than a CPU test. So taking a look at Battlefield 1, DX11 Ultra settings, we get the amplifier is 18% faster than the Aorus box. That is quite a huge margin. So we get 66 FPS compared to 56 on the gaming box. And of course, comparing it to the Sager NP9877, we get 77 FPS. So that indeed is about 14% faster than the amp. So moving on to Rainbow Six Siege at Ultra settings. At these type of settings, Rainbow Six Siege is pretty much GPU dependent, so it's a little bit closer here, of course. So on the amp we get 89 FPS versus 80 FPS using the Aorus gaming box, and that's still 11% faster, so that's worthwhile having. And of course, comparing it to the Sager laptop there, we get 91 FPS. Now I would like to point out, of course, the GTX 1080 on the Sager is about 3% higher. So in my analysis, I've actually deducted that 3% higher clock speed, because that's clocked to 1657 megahertz compared to 1607 megahertz on the GTX 1080, if that was in here. Moving on to Rise of the Tomb Raider, we get pretty close. It's 53 to 52 FPS on the external graphics cards, compared to 8% higher using the Sager. That's just obviously plugged directly into the monitor. Moving on then to Doom, this is OpenGL 4.5 Ultra settings. The amplifier is 8% faster than the Aorus gaming box. That's pretty sweet. So that gets 100 FPS versus 93. And again, we do see the Sager a little bit faster at 4% than the amp, but that's not a huge difference, not really at all. And the Ultra settings on PUBG, this is pretty close, to be honest with you. 44 to 46 FPS across the board. But of course, once you subtract that 3% on the Sager, it does make it go behind by about 7%. So take that as you will. Now Far Cry 5, again ultra settings, we get the amp is 17% faster than the gaming box here. That's huge, really is. And the Sager in turn is about 8% faster than the amp. So to conclude then, you know, it certainly makes a big difference using the gaming box. In fact, let's look at the summary. I mean, the amplifier. Let's take a quick look at the summary. The Aorus box is averaging 61 FPS, while the amplifier for Alienware averaging 67 FPS. That's 10% faster. So this is 10% faster than the Aorus gaming box. And I suspect, of course, you've got 4 PCI Express lanes, you know, for both. But I think the bandwidth is better through the cable here in the amplifier. Often in the Thunderbolt cables, you can get it's passive cables where the controller is you know, is in the laptop. But you can get more expensive cables where the controller is actually in the cable. And I want to do a follow-up test there to see if that will improve things a little bit. And of course, the Sager, you know, just again adjusted for the clock speed, is about 70 FPS. That's 15% faster than the Aorus gaming box. But still, if you've got a you know, a laptop which doesn't have a super powerful graphics card in it, it's worthwhile doing. Now I did run DDU display driver uninstaller before doing all these tests to make sure everything was clean, and I think it's a good representation. So anyway, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.